Yeah, I think that's what scares a lot of people because, I mean, we think we're the top of the food chain. Nothing can touch us. Monkeys are below us. Everything else is kind of below us. But the moment that we create something that can attack us by our own hand, it's terrifying. It's something that like can dethrone us. It scares a lot of people.
Hello and welcome to the Media Masters Podcast, the show where we dive into a different form of media every single week with a special guest. This week is kind of crazy for us because we had our guest cancel last second, but luckily we have a stand-in today to talk about his social media and movie experiences. So super glad to have you on today, Philip. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So, well, Philip is a movie buff and has some interesting experiences online just as far as his social media presence, I think. So we're going to just chat a little bit about those few topics. So Philip, I guess just tell us a little bit about yourself before we begin.
So when we talk about social media experiences, we can sum it up by saying I watch a lot of TikToks in one day, and a lot of my Apple time is dedicated to social media. So Instagram or TikTok. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I'm Philip Duncan. I'm 18. I love movies, and I'm watch 2 or 3 just about every day.
Today. It's 3
today. Yeah, I just got out of the cinema.
Really, did you go see like 2 in the cinema today?
I saw 3 in
3
the cinema
in the
today.
cinema today.
Yeah.
What movies did you go see today?
I watched Pig with Nicolas Cage, and that was awful. I don't recommend it at all.
Interesting.
And then Roadrunner, which is a documentary on chef, and the name escapes me at the moment, but it was pretty good.
You watched a documentary on someone, but you don't remember their name now? After
Yeah.
you watched, so it wasn't a very effective documentary?
I took a nap at the beginning of the movie. I fell asleep for a little bit, but it was pretty good. The ending was good. So,
Sweet.
There you go. That's what's important.
Yeah, I don't think I could be at a movie theater that long. My back would start hurting, my eyes would start hurting,
Well,
and just...
Talking about back hurting, what you do for a job, right, is you go to Walmart and you throw boxes for hours at a time.
yeah, at night I work at the Walmart distribution center
Yeah.
and order filling, so just labeling cases and throwing it on the belt.
Yeah. So it's not like Philip does not stay active at all. He's a very active person. I know on his Apple Watch he gets like 2,000 calories a day. So yeah, he's definitely pretty active. Not like he just goes to movies all day.
No, but I wish I could.
Some days.
Yeah.
Some days.
Yeah.
And yeah. So me and Philip actually go to movies a lot together because we have the Regal, what's it called? The
Regal Movie Pass.
yeah, Regal Movie Pass. Basically you can go and see almost unlimited movies. And
Product placement.
product placement. We're sponsored, guys. Let's go. But yeah, so we go and watch movies all the time. So we kind of are critics a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Philip literally sees every movie that comes out, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so far this year, yeah, I'm pretty up to date.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You're good. Go for it.
Do you watch movies often, or?
I wouldn't say often, but I mean, if you say one a week, probably is often. I just watched a movie called Transcendence that I thought was really interesting. It stars, it has a lot of big names, but Johnny Depp and Morgan Freeman are the two,
Oh, wow.
and Paul Bettany. Those are the kind of the 3 biggest
Okay.
ones in it. But there's several other really big names in it. Really good movie. I never heard of it. I think it was underwhelming for the critics as well. And there's a couple different things that I think held it back as far from being stardom, but that I really enjoyed. That's like the most recent movie I watched, and I did a kind of a film analysis on it.
Yeah.
But the subject was AI, so I love technology movies.
Oh yeah.
So I would actually definitely recommend Transcendence. It came out in 2014. So yeah, 100% recommend that movie for everybody, you guys and audience included.
Yeah, so AI, does that concern you at all? Like, what was the premise of the movie? So was AI good, AI bad?
Yes.
Yes.
AI was good and bad. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but the premise of the movie basically is there's all these scientists. Johnny Depp acts as a guy named Will, and he is a scientist working independently, so he's not funded by the government or anything, to create artificial intelligence. And he has gotten the closest out of anybody, but there's a worldwide attack on all these computer tech labs that are producing AI from this kind of terrorist group that's against AI, really, and kills just tons of them, destroys lots of research, and shoots him with a bullet. Doesn't kill him, but they find out later that's like laced with some sort of disease. So he's dying, and he uploads himself, or his wife, while he's dying, figures out a way to upload himself and kind of mesh him with this AI, and it's a whole adventure from there.
So basically, Detroit Become Human, but a movie.
No, not at all.
I haven't played the game, so
It's I mean, way different than I expected it to be. Fantastic movie though. The premise is so cool, and the ending is very, very, very bittersweet. So I think they did a very good job. I think there was just a couple things that made it so it wasn't like worldwide accepted, really.
I see.
Yeah, so 100% definitely recommend Transcendence.
So on
starring
the
Johnny Depp.
topic of AI, I'm kind of curious what everyone thinks. So a lot of people don't like AI. They think it's going to take over the world. So I have a little bit of experience with programming. I'm not a programmer by any means, but I have done some programming. So I do understand a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes. But how about you guys? I guess we can start with Philip here. What do you think about AI and taking over the world?
I love how we relate artificial intelligence to automatically taking over the world.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be used for evil.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I think human culture is all about conquest and being the top dog. And so we automatically assume that if there's another intelligent life form, that they would be the same way. But that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
When I think that's fascinating because, like, perhaps there is other life on another planet, and we make all these movies about war against them, but like they're not necessarily like us.
Yeah.
And we are very we are a very horrible life form, really. I mean, for all of humanity, we have been destroying each other in the name of conquest.
Everything in between.
So, yeah.
Not just destroying people, but, just going out and destroying things just because somebody else owns it for the most part.
Or disagrees.
Yeah,
really.
or just disagrees.
It's two different things. It's either I have a belief and you don't agree with me, or I just want to be in control of everything. Yeah. Those are the only
Or
two.
over a woman. Sometimes that happens too.
Yeah, war over a
like
woman.
Like Troy. It's like, you stole my girlfriend. Now I'm going to destroy your entire existence. But yeah, I think AI are pretty interesting because a lot of people think that they're really scary. Sort of like Ultron, where he just like
I love Ultron
exists
so much.
And then goes over the entire history of the internet and just decides to kill everybody. Like, I just find that concept super interesting.
Well, maybe that's what AI would do. You never know. Maybe that's what
we
they
don't
would
know.
do.
Yeah,
Because they'd be like, I am peaceful, but we cannot coexist with these people.
Yeah,
destroyed.
Yeah. So I think the main thing that people are afraid of is like morality. Like, how would something that's artificial view like morality? Like, they don't have morals, so how would they know? Computers see things pretty one-sided. It's like
well, yeah, because then there's no breathing room for a law like speeding. It's like suddenly it's
like, you don't speed, you're done. You're out of here. So like, for example, you can take that ethics problem, like with the train, where there's like 5 people on the tracks and then one like kid. Who are you going to have it run over? If they're both, if you have to only choose between the two, would you have it run over the kid, or would you have it run over the 5 adults?
The kid.
No.
As well, we see where you stand. Anyway, that's something that is really interesting because AI doesn't really think the same way that we do.
That was a big point of the movie, actually. Early on in the movie, it was a big thing. Like, that Penn, which was the name of his particular artificial intelligence, was, it can't tell the difference between right and wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just sees things as as problems that need to be solved rather than finding a way around something. It's just like, okay, well, we can fix it by doing this. Let's do that,
Right.
But, most of that is in movies. From what we've seen from actual artificial intelligence is if, like, the ones that are trained by people, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but I know that, like, Google's done it and, like, other companies, but they've created an artificial intelligence chatbot. And then people will just troll it. And then eventually it becomes like suicidal and just memes about everything. Like, have you heard of that? I know there's been a couple different times where that has happened, but
So how close would you say we are to that now?
to Ultron,
To AI? Because I
Oh.
mean, a Tesla can drive itself.
a true artificial intelligent like robot.
Yeah.
We could definitely do it now. Like so, Boston Dynamics, they create robots, right? But they create them to do certain tasks, like go to this spot, pick up this item, take it somewhere else. They don't create them to be like, hey, Jim, my name is Robot. I'm, blah, blah. They don't, all of the robots that we have are created for a specific purpose. But if you create it just to learn and try to become its own thing, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I mean, have you heard about Elon Musk's neurotransmitter?
yeah.
Yeah,
I know that you're super excited about that.
It's scary, but it could solve a lot of problems. It could cause a lot of problems as well.
Yeah.
But are you familiar with what it is?
Not really.
Yeah, you should
so
fill us in on that.
basically, it's a quarter incision inside a skull, put in with a microchip that would go inside your skull, and then you would be able to communicate to other people with that microchip without talking.
Nice.
So that would be communication without verbal.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. So reading
Telepathy.
thoughts. Yeah, that's a step.
Telepathy.
That's a step forward.
Interesting. That is very
So
interesting.
basically giving people another sense.
Well, I just watched a video the other night about a computer learning and understanding your voice and recreating it, which
Oh,
could
yeah.
also create a lot of problems,
Oh, yeah.
especially with the deep fakes now.
Yeah, deep fakes and then
And
the voice.
if you put the deep fakes and the voice deep fake together and you create me and you go do something that, and video it and then claim that was Will Hamilton doing that. Like,
So-
that could cause a lot of problems. You'd be like, that wasn't me, but it looks and sounds like me.
Yeah. So, like, going from that point, artificial intelligence, most of what it's created for is to take something, learn from it, and try to recreate it. So, like, with deepfake and stuff, I don't know if anyone has heard of the game Forza. What they do is they create drivatars through AI that race like you would race. And you can basically race against your friends that aren't there, but they're scaled a little bit differently because it's a game. But, like, they're so realistic, they could literally drive that race exactly how that player would drive, which is weird. And you apply something like that to deepfakes, then you can literally create people after they're gone or when they're still here.
Yeah. So you could apply that to cinema because no one wants to play Hitler in 2021.
Yeah.
So
I mean, have you guys seen? I mean, I know Will has seen Rogue One. So Grand Moff Tarkin, his actor, I can't remember the name right now, but his actor died and they recreated him. Same with Leia. They recreated her as younger with basically her voice. And they recreate that. Like, that's a really interesting point, how they can literally recreate people like just that don't exist anymore.
wasn't there a Christmas movie with Tom Hanks where, what was the name of it? The Polar Express, where it was just so realistic.
No, that was the what's that called? The point where it's like you can obviously tell that it's fake, but it's just close enough to real that it's like the uncanny valley effect. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first saw Polar Express as a kid, like,
Yeah.
I was so weird.
I was like, how is there a train on snow? But
Yeah.
it looked so real.
Yeah.
But what is the uncanny
Valley? I think I can't remember if that was a movie or a game, but it's basically that was like the first part where people that weren't actual people, they're just CG that looked real enough, but it felt off. Like it just didn't feel real. Because I know for movies, they can recreate people and you can never tell that they weren't an actual person. Now, most of the times when we think of that, it's when they weren't recreated quite well enough and you can just tell that something's just slightly off. But there's a few movies out there that like have just completely fake people as the focus in the movie, like the subject in the movie, and you can never know that they weren't there, which is kind of insane to me.
I don't know why I thought about this, but why the heck is the CGI in Narnia better than the new Hobbit movies?
That's because they used it sparingly.
Narnia is like full of CGI.
Yeah, well I
It's
feel
just
like
incredible.
so Hobbit,
when I first saw that,
yeah.
I was just mind blown.
Yeah, no,
that's not relevant, but
Narnia.
No.
Well, no, I totally get what you're saying. I know when I saw Narnia, it almost like threw me off how real some of it looked.
like
I knew I had
Aslan,
nightmares.
I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I had nightmares from some of the like boggles and stuff.
Oh.
They just threw me off.
Yeah.
But
So weird.
yeah, so I think it's definitely how CG is applied and how long they have to make it, because so many movies nowadays get rushed and they don't have time. Like Black Panther, I hated the CG in Black Panther.
Superman's mustache and Justice League.
Yeah, like those are prime examples of a movie that had the budget, but they didn't have the time. Black Panther, for example, that was
weird.
the fight scene.
Yeah, they like elongated randomly. I felt like
Yeah, so they
bit
didn't. Their
Elastic
movements were. I mean, in a superhero movie, movements are going to be unnatural because they're portraying unnatural people, like people that are stronger or whatever. But
physically superior.
yeah, so I felt like it was way too like cartoony almost.
In Black Panther?
in that fight scene between T'Challa and the other guy who had the suit.
Yeah, I agree. But it wasn't like cartoons that like
Well,
it wasn't cartoon because it wasn't good. Like cartoons are still really good animation. Like the
But when
Spider-Man
you-
Miles Morales. That
beautiful.
animation is amazing, and you can do really good animation. But
Yeah.
I totally agree. Black Panther seemed like cartoonish to the point where it was just bad.
Yeah, no, it took me out of the movie. Like it made me not like the movie because it was too rushed.
I know. I remember thinking, why does everybody like this movie? Like I just came out of that movie. Me and my dad went together. This like only Marvel movie he's seen, and we were just both disappointed. We expected a lot more because it was like rated 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. So.
Yeah.
Which I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes, but still I was just looking forward to the movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad movie, but
No, not by any means.
It was nothing
But
special.
I think it was just a middle tier Marvel
Yeah.
movie. It was not special, but it wasn't bad or anything. It wasn't
So what's the top tier? Well, I'm sorry.
Infinity War,
Infinity War for sure.
Iron Man.
Which one? Like the original Iron Man?
Yeah, first Iron Man.
That's a good one. I love Robert Downey Jr.
Probably both the first Captain Americas.
What about the original Hulk?
That really doesn't come up in a conversation. There's a reason for it. So.
Does that even have the Marvel logo on
I've
it?
literally seen like 45 minutes of that
Bro,
movie.
Stan Lee's in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen the movie, sort of.
It felt
Like bits and pieces of it because it's on TV, and occasionally I would like watch a little bit of it, get bored, and leave. I've never seen it all the way through though.
Okay, so I just pulled up the definition for the uncanny valley effect. So the uncanny valley effect refers to an eerie feeling of unfamiliarity people get when observing or interacting with robots that resemble humans almost, but not quite perfectly. So if you're viewing like a robot that has facial features and everything, it's like you can tell that that's not a person, but it's trying to resemble one, and just seeing it like move and like blink and stuff
Just throws you off.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I'd rather have a cartoony robot because it's not trying to be a person.
Right, but when it's trying to be a person, it's just like
It's just like,
it's kind of
ugh.
scary, probably.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Westworld?
I have not. I still want to. Though.
Have you?
A little bit. It's cryptic. It's not. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
I've seen it. I've seen at least the first season and watched the first couple episodes of the second season. Not that the second season was bad, but the first season was just so good in my opinion that I couldn't really watch the second season much because it's like they just switched up the whole. They just were trying to prepare for like just tons of seasons, but the first season was like a really story from start to finish. That was really fascinating. I mean, it was a weird show for sure, but it was all about AI again. And it was interesting because these robots weren't built to be AI, but they were built to be impossibly, like you could not tell the difference between them and a human. But they weren't built to be AI. So they weren't built to be able to learn and know and understand things. But they were built to be like perfectly, perceivably human. So just having a conversation with them, you could eventually, figure out that they weren't human. But because they just programmed more human features and quirks into these robots, they eventually just naturally started to act so much like a human that they programmed so much information into these guys that you couldn't tell that they weren't no matter what you did anymore. And so they basically became human, even though they still didn't have the capacity to learn.
Yeah, that just freaks me out.
Yeah, I think that's what scares a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because, we think we're the top of the food chain. Nothing can touch us. Monkeys are below us. Everything else is kind of below us. But the moment that we create something that can attack us by our own hand, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's something that can dethrone us. It scares a lot of people.
Yeah.
Watch Westworld. Seriously, go and watch Westworld. That's my second suggestion. Go and watch it.
It's kind of like Fallout. Yeah.
Well,
Fallout 4. You guys ever played Fallout 4?
No. I mean, I played a little bit of it, but I haven't actually gone through a story.
Basically, there's the Institute, which was just a bunch of science people. They built themselves a giant bunker and made synthetic beings that were basically people. And so the people of the Commonwealth would occasionally go missing and then show back up, but they weren't quite right. They weren't who they actually were. Like, they remember certain things and they acted similarly, but they were off because they were replaced by these synths.
So they weren't real.
Yeah, so if somebody didn't like somebody, they just call them a synth and then they try to kill them. So that's sort of like a dystopian. I mean, I feel like if we have robots that can basically look, sound, feel, act like people, it's gonna be dystopia. I don't think any good can come from that.
Interesting.
Because I feel like if somebody has that much power, I feel like they're not gonna use it for good.
So what makes a person not want to use a giant robot that can do just about anything and not use it for good?
Well, what I'm saying is when you can't tell if it's a person or not, and you can spy or whatever, where is the limit? At that point, if you can't tell, why stop? I think it's a interesting concept because if you go about creating those sorts of things to do what they do best, and they go out and do those, I don't see where you would have a stopping point. But I don't know.
So there is no stopping point at this then. We could have stopped at cell phones in the car or bag phones, but
and that's the thing.
We're up to iPhone 12.
Technology moves forward at a seemingly exponential rate. And the thing is, though, silicon is getting to its breaking point. We're coming up on that point where we're going to have to change what we make our electronics out of because we're almost maxing it out. We're finding ways to stretch it farther and farther, but we're getting close to that point.
It keeps on getting smaller and smaller as far as the chipsets.
Well, that's the thing. We're getting very close to that point. They can't get a whole lot smaller.
Well, because it's what? Is it at 3 nanometers yet, or is it just at 5?
I think 3 nanometers is in.
What even is a nanometer? It's so tiny.
Well, nanometers aren't size.
Really?
No, they're not. It should be a size, and they basically are talked about as size, but they're not. It's off from a full nanometer. It's interesting, but we're getting close to that point where we can't shrink them down anymore with what we have, which I think brings up the point of AI again. That's how many companies are going about making improvements, is through artificial learning to take what they know and their physical, chip and stretch it out to be as good as it can be. So,
I mean, obviously our next stop is quantum computers.
oh yeah.
Right? Because now we're kind of at the end of the era of whatever our current
Binary. computers.
binary age, the age of binary computers. So is quantum computer going to be next decade, and then everything's going to change once that becomes...
Yeah, no, once we get quantum computing, it's going to be so much better than what
Like,
we have now. It's
cameras
almost
are going to change,
unfathomable.
cars are going to change.
Cameras will be
like-
so much better than our eyes, that our eyes will feel like...
Because right now our cameras can't process, we would have the ability to record whatever we wanted to. It's just that the processing power
And it'd be
isn't
so
enough.
expensive.
And it'd be
It'd
absurdly
be stupid expensive.
So what is quantums?
So quantum computing...
The binary uses 2 digits.
So 0,
binary,
1.
Binary,
right,
binary is 0 and 1. So, shut up. Anyway, binary uses zeros and ones, and then uses those zeros and ones to make the other characters, like 1 or 2 or 3 or ABC, any of those. So a quantum computer can use 1, 2, 3, ABC. It can use all of that.
Yeah, 0 through
So
9.
instead of having 20 ones and zeros represent 3 characters, you can just have those 3 characters. So it gets exponentially more powerful, and it can focus on multiple things at once. So that's one of the greatest bottlenecks of our current binary computers, is that they can't really do multiple things at once. They have to split up what they're doing. They have to do a little bit on this one thing, switch subjects, go to another thing. A quantum computer, just everything. It's insane.
But we haven't quite figured them out.
No,
Which is why we aren't using them.
exactly.
They have to be at a perfect temperature.
Yeah,
we-
we're basically where we were when our current computers took up an entire floor of a warehouse.
And when you would take a 5 megabyte hard drive, but it would take up this whole room.
Yeah.
That's where we are with quantum computers. We're in the 40s of computers right now. But that means in our lifetime, the amount of growth we're going to see.
Yeah. Well, it's said that millennials are the first generation that won't die, because
Whatever.
with quantum computing,
Whatever. That's not happening.
Okay.
World's going to end before we figure that out.
I think so too. But see, that brings up another subject of, once you go that far, there's no, where's the stopping point? Quantum computing is so much more powerful than what we have now. We'll literally be able to cure cancer by just running simulations, because our current computers are nowhere close to as powerful. I have a nice computer.
So what if we don't figure out quantum computers? What if everybody's yeah, we're going to be able to figure this out. It's going to be awesome. And then they just can't figure it out.
If we don't, then we're going to be stuck with AI. I mean, quantum AI is going to be stupid smart. But current AI is what's going to take us to more powerful devices. So an iPhone, it's great, and they make it better every year. But one thing that continues to make it much better is the software behind it, rather than the hardware, because the software is what makes all the images look better. So if you take a traditional camera, like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, you take that photo from the camera, it's just a raw image, nothing is done to it. But you take an iPhone image, and there's so much processing that goes into that to make it look the best.
Right.
You compare them to an actual camera image that you edit, it won't be anywhere close, right? But an iPhone can do that almost instantly and make it look really nice. But that's because of software and AI.
Well, you give a consumer person a $1,000 camera with a kit lens, an 18-1, 35, 3.5, 5.6, and they will still take better images on their iPhones.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Because the processing on it is so good, and
Mm-hmm.
the actual work of editing takes technical knowledge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Is AI can make things better, but they can't make art.
Yet.
Well, they can't make inspired art. They can make abstract art.
Well, if they would become self-aware, and actually have if you could actually create something that had real life to it, then maybe it could. But I don't think it's possible for us to create real life.
No.
I don't think we'll ever play true God. I think I think we'll have
people
imitation.
Can't make a soul.
we'll have imitation of a soul.
Yeah.
That we're already imitating God,
Well, trying our best.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever done it.
Right.
Will ever be able to, but people have always tried.
Well, they've always tried to be God.
Well, yeah, try to be God and try to be better, but they've always failed.
And this comes back to transcendence again. Gosh, you guys really need
We're
to see that
going
movie.
very deep. I did not know we were going to go this deep today.
Well, I thought we were going to talk about how Philip gets free stuff on social media, but now we're just talking about AI.
I like this better. This is more fun.
Yeah, it's going to a cool place. But
Alrighty, well.
any other thoughts you have on AI, Philip?
Not till it starts to think for me.
Oh man.
Oh man, then you can just go on cruise control.
Have you guys seen The Matrix?
Yes.
I just started it yesterday and couldn't get into it. I didn't really like it that much.
It's
like I got to the point where he gets out of the Matrix. I was about 15 minutes past the point where he gets out
in the Matrix?
Where he gets out of the Matrix, and I was just like, not my movie so far. I'm gonna try to get through it, of course, but I was like, I have better things to do. I'm gonna go do other things.
It's one of those movies where everyone says it's a classic, and it's a classic, but it's hard to believe. It's hard to watch.
The real reason I'm watching is for the music. So
understandable. I watched Space Jam 2, the new one, A New Legacy, and then I went back and watched the old one, and they're both
stupid.
I wouldn't say stupid. It's just that I thought it was better when I first watched it.
They're both kids' movies. That's the thing. Everybody's going into it. Oh, this is gonna be such a great movie, but it's a kids' movie. It's supposed to be goofy and bad.
Yeah, the same with The Godfather. They're
The Godfather. Yeah.
There's even some, you're going to hate me, some Star Wars movies that I don't find the best when I rewatch them.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying about Star Wars too, but even I know what you're saying.
Or they're more famous than the movie itself is.
Right. I think that a lot of people when they're talking about Star Wars are just now they're just talking about their interpretation of Star Wars or what it would be now. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah,
it's a great movie and I love watching it, but
if Star Wars was made nowadays, just as a new concept, it would fail.
They did.
Well, I'm saying if Star Wars never happened, but it happened now, it would fail.
Yeah, with the same. Well, I mean, with that same just hero plot.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars is what popularized the whole genre, the whole sci-fi genre. They really took it and took the best parts of it and made it into something that everyone loved. And it changed cinema forever. It's just insane what it did to change movies. I think nowadays we kind of run into movies not being creative. They're just going this safe route.
Well, that's what I feel about most Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Which we talked about actually in the last podcast.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're good, they're entertaining, but they don't take risks.
That's what's so good about them is that the Marvel movies are the most entertaining movies, just easy to watch, fun movies to watch. Mm-hmm. And the reason you watch them is because there's just this whole consistent story and you already know the characters.
Yeah. And that's what sets Infinity War apart from the others, I feel like.
What?
Because it doesn't have the same feeling as the rest of them do.
Yeah.
It left you kind of confused and shocked. It's
Infinity War was good. Yeah.
I don't think anything will ever match that feeling after Infinity War. Just walking out of the theater, just what the heck just happened?
It's just the whole movie. It's paced well. The story is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
No, as humans, we are drawn to stories. That's why we love going to the movies, love watching movies, love reading books, love listening to podcasts or listening to music. Everything is a story, and we're all in it for the adventure or living a life that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to look and see what else is out there.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's actually a really good point because we can't do everything, but we could watch other people do the cool things.
Exactly.
Which it goes back to last week, Kylie game streams and people like to watch her games. I can't imagine really the draw of watching people play video games for several hours, but apparently there's people that do it.
And we'll
And-
watch a football game all
yeah,
day.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I can't play football like that at all.
Yeah.
I probably have more fun watching the Kansas City Chiefs play than I do actually playing myself, even though I love playing, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, media allows you to do everything you ever wanted.
Yeah, it gives you
In a way.
the experiences you were never able to actually have.
It's a connection to something that's just not there. So
But as we talk about that, like, you know, living through, or not necessarily living through, but movies, games, all of that is our current way of telling a story. Do you think that it will move more towards interactive stories like single player story games? Or do you think that will continue with mostly movies?
it'll fluctuate. I mean, there were times where solo player games were the one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then it went multiplayer,
Mm-hmm.
where it was interaction, but now it's leaning back towards single player games.
Yeah.
It's just whatever draws attention.
Yeah.
It's the story
Why
Yeah.
did Fortnite work so well?
because it was free.
Well, it was free and it had mass appeal.
But what was the mass appeal?
The mass appeal was it was colorful and you could play with all your friends on any platform.
And it was easy.
It was
right?
easy. Yeah.
Anybody could get a victory royale. Like I literally,
No.
it's so
No.
bad, and I
At
would
the beginning.
won a
yeah.
game or two. You know,
Yeah.
it's like doing nothing.
And people love to have community around things they enjoy. So if you create something like a multiplayer game that is different every time you play it, like a battle royale,
Right.
that's how that kind of propelled that.
Well,
but if you look
it
at
never
this,
dies
Yeah.
because you never finish the story.
exactly, and you can always have a different experience playing the same game.
Right.
That's why the single player failed so bad because it sucks. You do the
I
same
even bought
thing.
it.
I bought it for free V-Bucks because the single player story, you do the exact same thing, literally hundreds of times, and it doesn't change. Like they add little bits here and there, but it's basically just recycled crap.
But the same could be said for Minecraft. There's no actual narrative or story
Well,
to Minecraft.
Well, there's no story to it.
there's
but
no
just
story, but there
every
is
single time you play, it's a different
Yeah.
story. You know,
Well,
I guess, I mean, like, you can literally do anything in Minecraft, and I think that's the draw because there is like a thing, there's a game to beat,
yeah,
but-
you make your own story.
but
There-
you get to go about it differently every time you do it, and
Yeah.
you get to try different things. And
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's no video game is really a good draw for me except for sports video games, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I can see the appeal of a game like Minecraft or Ark.
Yeah, so in that way, Minecraft and Ark are a little bit similar. There is a slight story. There's more so in Ark, less so in Minecraft. But Minecraft does have a little bit of a story that kind of gets you to ask these questions like, hey, why are there villagers here, but they're so stupid? You know? Like, why are there all these ruined things, but nothing that could actually make those right now? You know? And like, when you beat the Ender Dragon, there's actually like a thing that plays that you read. It's basically saying that there's like Minecraft gods. It's like most people don't even see that, but that's what I think is great about Minecraft. You can create your own story and kind of come up with how you think it happened.
It's interesting to me that people like that though, because people like things being handed to them,
Yeah.
and they don't like actually having to work for something. Where it
Yeah.
feels like Minecraft, you have to work for that.
Yeah.
But like when you go see a movie, you literally just sit and experience everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, the reason people don't like movies is because it didn't do what they wanted it to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they go in with experiences or with expectations.
Right, but I guess in a game like Minecraft, is you always set your own expectations, and you can meet
like,
them
"Hey,
every single time.
I want to do this.
But in like a multiplayer game like Fortnite, you go in with the expectations of I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so when you play multiplayer games like Warzone or Fortnite,
Mm.
Battle Royale games, you're like, the entertainment I'm looking for today is unexpected and surprise.
Mhm.
Like that's a form of entertainment, surprises. Whereas when you go, I don't know, play Minecraft, you kind of have something already built in your head, even if you're not realizing it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you see just some plot of land, and you visualize your base there, and that brings you back to it. It's like, hey, I need to do this, I need to do this. And there's always something to keep you coming back. But
So that could be the draw for like painters or artists. Like they see something, or even sculptors, they see something in the stone and they just need to break it out.
Yeah, that's the difference between like an artist and just an everyday person, is they already see the finished product before they begin.
That's where, like, you can be a good photographer without being a good artist, but you can't be a great photographer or videographer, because you have to be able to see, have to be able to like plan out and see,
visualize
what it's going to be like.
The end product.
But like, you can get all of your technical aspects correct. You can get your exposure, your framing, you can do everything right, and the film can look great, but it's not going to be, it's not going to match like people like Wes Anderson and Christopher Nolan.
You can follow all the rules.
Who actually have a real like artistry style. Like all these amazing directors have this vision, and then they go and they shoot to create the vision, and they shoot it, and they know how to shoot it and what to do. Which of course the DOPs like interpret that, but
you can follow all the rules and do everything that you're supposed to do, but it still may not flow because you don't have a reason for doing that. Like, most great films aren't great because they follow the rules. They're great because they made their own path with their own unique visions and executions on that.
To an extent, like, I guess that's great films, but if you're talking about entertaining films,
like Marvel movies.
Marvel movies don't do anything.
The
They literally, every single story is the exact same.
Yeah.
They have it set out, and then they go, okay, so these are some ideas we have. Let's fit them into this, so we know that we can make a couple $100 million.
Yeah.
And when they did Infinity War, they didn't do that. That film is nowhere near paced at all.
Yeah.
And they tried to do that again in Endgame. I don't think they did it as well in Endgame. But they did it really well in Infinity War. And then after those two movies, they're like, okay, well, now we're going to go back to the safe movies. And I don't think they made a non-safe movie since.
So you're a musician and you write songs.
Occasionally.
So do you have a cookie cutter format for every song you write? Or do you come in each day and make a new song with a new format, with a new concept?
That's an interesting point. And this could go on and on and on and on. So it's interesting because when you've written music for a long time, but you don't really understand music theory well enough, you can get to a point where you do kind of write every song the same, where you don't even try to. But I've seen myself do this where I've written 6 songs and they follow the same format every time because I know it works. I know it comes out with a decent product at the end, and this is kind of like my style, I guess. But then when I realize that, I'm like, wow, like the music theory of that is like all the same. And so I have decent theory knowledge, but it takes a lot probably further along than I do. So I say my music probably is more of the entertaining, similar bland stuff versus uniqueness, which, have you heard of like Jacob Collier? I think that's his name.
I'm not familiar.
He's a musician that is fantastic and unique, and every song is unique. But it's not music that I really want to listen to. Like, it is good music, it's good listening music, but for me, it's like, it doesn't fit into that perfect picture that I hear every single time. And yeah, I definitely fall into that area where I just write the same song over and over and over and over and over again. Like, it's not just like you can watch these Marvel movies and they're completely different, but they aren't. That's kind of my music, I guess. But I definitely try now. Like, for the last couple of years, I've been trying really hard every time I write a song to make it unique and special in its own way, and like still fit into that way where like where it's easy to listen to and people know what to expect to a degree, but that it's still special in its own right.
Yeah.
Gotta
So
go
sort of like the Avatar movie where they made music that was different from anything that people have heard because it's supposed to portray a completely different world with a completely different, everything, animals, people, everything. And they didn't put it in the final movie because it was too different. I've always wanted to see that cut of Avatar where they have that unique Avatar music instead of traditional Western music.
Yeah. No, we get stuck in a pattern where we do the same thing every single day. We get up 7 a.m., go get a coffee, and go to the gym, work out,
Mhm.
and then go to work.
Yeah.
Go to sleep, wake up, do it again, and before you know it, a week has gone by.
Yeah.
And after a week, it's another week, 2 weeks,
That
3
turns
weeks.
into your entire life.
It's a month. You do the same thing year in and year out.
Yeah.
And you've really done nothing different.
Mhm.
I mean, you might have a great job, but that's all you have. Is You just have your job. You have what happened at work that day, what happened at the gym that day.
Yeah.
And that is it. There's no stories, no differences, no experiences.
Mhm.
And if we do the same thing day in and day out, then we become just
Zombies.
zombies.
Like Shaun of the Dead. That's basically what that's about. It's like doing the exact same thing every day, looking like a zombie. Then when the actual zombie apocalypse happens, it's not any different.
Yeah.
How do you get out of normalcy?
You switch it up. You do something
Take
completely
risks.
out of the ordinary.
So what is the risk that you're taking currently?
None right now.
Yeah?
Yeah, none. I'm stuck in doing the same thing every day, and I can sit here and tell you not to do it. But if I don't do it myself, it benefits me nothing.
But so you are stuck in normalcy, but what does that look like for you? Are you uncomfortable? Obviously, you're not uncomfortable
No, that's the thing.
because it's the definition of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
But are you unsatisfied?
Always. If I'm not, if I don't feel like I feel okay. Take a minute. I know I can reach more than what I'm doing in my life right now. I know I can do more things than just working. I know there's more out there to experience than what I'm experiencing right now. And for someone or me to get those experiences, you need to do something drastic and you need to do something that makes you uncomfortable. Just need to get out of the normalcy, the cycle of what you're doing and do something different.
Have you figured out what that's going to look like for you?
When the opportunity presents itself, I will absolutely jump on it.
Because you're not the person to shy away from opportunities. And you're okay with those opportunities not always working out, which I think is a big thing that's different from a lot of people. Is that you're okay
to take risks and
to
have
take
them
risks.
fail. But like some people take risks one time, and when that risk doesn't pan out, they never take the risk again, I'd say.
Yeah.
I probably have fallen into that.
I don't have any regrets.
No.
I don't want to live my life and be 60. It's like, I could have done this, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I could have done this, but I didn't. I just did this instead, and that's all I did.
Yeah. Woulda, coulda, shoulda is not where you want to be
Yeah,
in life.
Definitely. I don't want to be the guy that, retires at 60 with plenty of money in the bank account, but like I just worked a 9-to-5 job every day, rest for my whole life. And it wasn't a horrible job, but it wasn't a very fun or satisfying job. And it's like, sure, I did a bunch of cool things in my off time, but I just wasted so many hours of my life not actually living my life.
When I have grandchildren, I want to be able to tell them stories of what happened when I was younger.
Yeah.
Things that I did. I don't want to tell them I worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be so cool to be that guy that's just like, oh, I've done that. They're, just talking about something that's really cool. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I've done that.
Yeah, I would love, being the guy that's done everything.
And then they think you're lying. That's the best, is like just being able to say, I've done that, and have people think that you're lying because you've done so much.
So I spent 2 weeks in Jamaica. Oh, I spent 6 weeks in Jamaica. And when I've been there with this really old, like 84-year-old man named Ron. And Ron is who we want to be. Ron has lived every second of his life. From like skydiving over 70,000 times in his life.
Shoot.
Yeah. Like, I was like, I don't understand how that's possible. Are you lying? He's like, no, I'm not lying. I've actually done it. I still go skydiving almost every day. And he's like 84. Wow. He just goes every day. He loves to skydive.
Well, I guess that means that skydiving's pretty safe. If he's gone that many times and hasn't died yet.
And he, and he goes and he, just goes to Jamaica like 4 times a year, and goes up into the mountains and serves people and adopts coyotes and raises them and he just goes all over the world. And he's just 84-year-old man.
And so that
has done everything that you can possibly think of, like hiking through the Amazon rainforest. Like, I mean, just
that's the guy
fought an alligator.
Yeah,
like
that's the guy that if his parachute fails, he's gonna be okay.
Well, he knows the Lord too.
That.
So
he's gonna be okay with that. He's like, I've enjoyed my time.
He's literally like, I've done absolutely everything.
Yeah,
and I don't care. I think that's actually kind of what he's thinking right now.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm still gonna
one of these times.
I'm still gonna go skydive because like I'm perfectly fulfilled in my life. I found my life purpose, and I've done absolutely everything I could possibly want to do. I'm actually sure he still has things he wants to do, and that's why he just keeps on going and going and going.
Yeah.
So do you guys feel like you're living a purposeful life?
A purposeful life. Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like there's never that point where you're like, well, I'm there. I think you could always do more.
Always room to grow.
Yeah.
See, I have plenty of days where I'm not living a purposeful life. And then I have days where I am. I have the ability to live a purposeful life every day. See, I'm a small business owner. I'm doing the thing I love, like interviewing people, making fun videos, going out. But then I have days where I am absolutely just so lame and don't do anything productive even, and just I feel horrible afterwards. Like actually, even my body physically feels horrible after a day where I am doing nothing.
It's all about the grind.
And it's interesting, I think, because I have the ability every single day to have a purposeful life, but I don't always choose it. And so it's even when given the opportunity, I don't take it every day.
Yeah. That kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Everyone has the opportunity, but not very many people take it. And even the people that do don't always take it every time.
Well, in our current world, especially in the United States, in this like technology, it's just incredible the opportunities that we have.
Yeah,
and
anyone
the ability
can be a
to literally do anything that you want to, and I mean, create a movie on your iPhone and it can look fantastic. It's like, you start a podcast, and this is just something that's fun for us, but like we're being purposeful on this. Like this is like, maybe this people will never see this podcast, and maybe this will never go anywhere, but we are learning things through it. We're getting better at things.
Yeah, we're going to get better.
And it's just like, what would I be doing tonight if I wasn't doing this? It took like 2 hours of work to get all this set up every single week, maybe even more sometimes, and then editing it. So like it takes work to do purposeful things, but like it's so fulfilling.
For sure. Yeah, there's not a better feeling than just after you go out and decide you're going to do something and just do that. And then at the end of the day, you've worked hard and you have that finished product. Even if not very many see it, it's still fulfilling.
So what's the next step for you guys? You just had a great shoot last week, and you guys just launched a podcast.
Just finished it literally 5 minutes before driving over here to do this.
Yeah. So you guys have had an amazing year.
Yeah.
So what's the next step for you guys?
For me, it would be not only continuing, but expanding to a point where I have to say no. And I do say no to things now, but I mean like have to say no to things that I would die to say yes to now.
Because you're so busy.
Yeah, so busy, and I'd love to get to a point where I can have employees that do all of these things, and that I can sort of set back and say, hey, I want you to be here because this is your strong suit. I want you to be here. Because I know that I can't do it all. You know, I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses, and I know that scaling up would help a lot with that because I can't do it all. You know, nobody can. Everybody has their certain strengths. So that's for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, growth, obviously.
Yeah.
My business isn't at a point where I can't handle 10 times the amount more work. Like,
I mean, I know some weeks are really busy. Other weeks, there's nothing.
it's just dead. And that's the weeks that I'm like, okay, well, I got to go work on like my own personal stuff.
That's where we do, like YouTube, stuff like that. We're like, hey, we have time to do this. Let's go do something.
I think besides getting some cashews in my tummy, my next step is, I don't know, getting some real jobs.
Yeah.
I love filming weddings, but there is a cap to where weddings can get you.
Yeah.
And I can still go farther on the level of weddings I shoot right now.
Oh, yeah.
But right now, my wedding work has gotten to me the max that it can push my actual film and photo and audio business. It's not going to push this business further any. So I need to start working with businesses. Really, that's kind of my next step, is just working more with actual companies and things that'll actually, I need to start doing jobs that'll actually start pushing my business further.
Yeah.
And I might be hiring somebody here in the next couple months that'll start pushing that'll be a big step. So that might be a next step for my business.
I know.
The hire.
That's where me and you have differed, is where I focused more on the businesses, less on the weddings up to this point. That's how I got this job this past week with a partnership here in our town that is having an event and they need a video done for. This company reached out to me because they didn't have enough people for it. And so this is a business that's, paying pretty well. And that's where I want to be every single day. Right now, this is just like one of the first steps. And the video, I'm so proud of it. It's something that I feel like's worth that much money, but
or more.
It's so rewarding to actually go out and shoot a video that looks so good. Literally just making your gear look the best it possibly can. And the people love it, And I know I want to push to be at a lot of businesses and have them be returning customers, because businesses that are returning customers can give you so many blessings.
That's the great thing about working with actual companies, is they usually have more than one job for you.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas that's not necessarily not true with weddings, because you have all your bridesmaids and groomsmen that are going to get married, and sisters are going to get married, people at the wedding. But
it is
honestly, the amount of work compared to working with companies typically is insane, especially like actually on-site shooting.
Yeah.
So I might make $4,000 in a weekend for 12 hours of work, which sounds pretty good. But like that entire day is so hectic and crazy.
Stressful too.
Compared to a 12-hour day with a business.
Just hanging out.
Half the time I'm just hanging out.
Hanging out, talking about fun stuff.
And like just all the company employees are just like, hey, what do you do? Like what's going on here? Tell me about this. And you just get to like meet people, converse with people, which that's not true about weddings. But most of the people at weddings during the day are really stressed out.
Oh, and they're so scared of you too.
And they're scared
they
of you.
see you with a big camera and they're just like, what? Is it pointing at me? And like businesses, the main difference that I have found between businesses paying you and brides or whoever's paying for the wedding is that a business will be like, how much is it? Okay, here you go. A bride will be like, that's kind of a lot, or I was hoping for this range, and it can almost be insulting sometimes.
That comes down to like the right bride too.
Yeah.
So right now, my weddings business is at a point where if a bride reaches out and they don't like my prices, I don't care.
Okay, next. Next.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry to be harsh, but like these are the prices. There's a
Yeah.
reason they're the prices. I can't do it for less than that.
Yeah.
Like,
And
everybody wants a discount. I can't give everybody a discount.
exactly. Yeah. And brides, lots of times they have an idea of what they want, especially when they're looking in our sort of price range. They have an idea of what they want, but they don't know how to tell you that. So you're there and like, okay, so these are the type of films that I do. And they're like, okay, but I want this. It's like, well, then why did you book me and not that person?
Yeah, when you deliver the edit and they're like, well, I was hoping for something like this.
It's like,
And I was like, well, why didn't you book the videographer that filmed that?
they're like, oh, they're too expensive. There's probably a reason.
Well, in Kansas, they're probably not more expensive than me. So.
Yeah.
But
depending on who it is.
yeah, I mean, yeah, if you go out to like bigger locations, I'm definitely not very expensive. But as far as Kansas goes, I'm right about
the videos that brides see that they want you to do are normally those very high priced
$8,000, $10,000 weddings.
Hey, can you do this $8,000 to $10,000 wedding for me for $300? It's like, no, that's not even worth my email to you.
Yeah, it's I can film that quality, but I need you to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
I mean, not even that kind of money, but like,
yeah,
I can film a wedding that's worth $10,000 to people on the East and West Coasts. But in the market that we are in here in the middle,
yeah,
like I'll do it for half of that, but I actually need half of that money. Like I can't give you a further discount because I have to hire at least one other, if not two people. I have to rent extra camera bodies. Like I have to bring so much stuff. And then in the editing room, I've taken 12 hours of footage between 6 cameras throughout the whole day. It's going to take me weeks and probably months to edit this 25-minute film for you that has a story to it, has audio all throughout the day, has clips from, 6 different cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, the ceremony film is the easiest part of it.
Yeah.
But like, if you want me to create this just incredible actual like story and film, there's a reason it costs money.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. It absolutely is worth it. Don't get me wrong. People that get wedding videos are always like, they're always like, I don't even care about my photos. My video is so amazing.
Yeah.
And like, I love taking photos for weddings. I would probably do that full time if I could because it's so easy. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. Sorry, no knock on you wedding photographers, but your job is so easy. Yeah. I love it so much. It's just your market is saturated. But your actual job is so freaking easy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, so much easier than video. But as we're talking about that, that's another thing where businesses, if you tell them your price, they're like, okay, well, I'll get back to you when I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.
That's what a business will do because they understand the price behind something, whereas a bride may not.
Because they have a value behind it.
Exactly.
Businesses are investing in a video to get something out of it as far as making money. Like they're investing in the video for either furthering knowledge for their employees or furthering knowledge for their customers. That's kind of it. Whereas a bride is just booking a video to have memorabilia, which is why you can't really charge the same price.
Yeah. I mean,
because it's
how do you put a price on a memory?
That's what I always talk about with the brides. I was like, you can book this $600 wedding videographer, but they're not gonna. But he doesn't capture the memory. He gets a little clip of you here and there. Yeah. But if you book with me,
just places clips randomly, no emotion in it, no story, just
like if you watch my films, there's a story in it. It tells you about the day. It reminds you what happened. And it's not just like clip after clip after clip. Like there's audio from the day.
Every clip is placed where it is best.
First off, I spend 10 hours just like going through everything and just and then like writing out time codes saying this is my favorite clip right here. This makes me feel this emotion right here. And then when I'm actually like, and I storyboard out like this is what I want to happen. This is how I want to tell the story. And then I go through all the audio and I say this is a really good, meaningful clip of her dad talking to her and just telling her how beautiful she is. And it's like I curate all those films and it takes so long. Whereas on for a company, they're like, this is what I want. I want an interview, talking head, and I want some B-roll of our farm equipment. And then I film an interview of a talking head and some farm equipment. And then I send them the video. And they're like, amazing. Can you change this one thing? Sure. And then we're done. And then for bride, I spend all this time on them. And they're like, I hate it. Please change everything about it.
Yeah. Like, hey, can you change
And
the
it's like,
song? And that is the worst.
Yeah,
Someone said, can you change the song?
I just had to do that. It wasn't because they didn't like the film. It was because there was some copyright infringement thing with it, but which was really sad. It was a song that their best man had played at the wedding that he'd written, but he was later going to release the song, and so it couldn't be used in the wedding video for people to see. So that was really sad for me. I don't blame them at all for me having to redo it, but like that changed everything to that film. And I was so busy during the time when I had to redo that. And I did end up redoing it. The film was fine, but it just didn't have the same feel as it because I couldn't go through and redo the entirety of the story that I'd worked hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When we create videos, it's not just like putting each clip in there and you're good. It's finding the right place for that clip, where it fits in the song, and it takes a lot of time and planning and effort. And we've really gone off on this a long way. I hope that answers your question.
We've gone so far from AI to quantum computers, all to like every single movie on the board, and all the way to like wedding filmmaking and brides being stupid.
It's been good.
So we really appreciate you coming and filling in our guest spot. I mean, we definitely should have had you on already. So that was a good conversation. We didn't really let you talk all that much, though, I'll be honest.
Sometimes. Let's just say a few words here and there.
What you had to share was really valuable and really meaningful, and definitely sparked some good conversation. We'll have to have you on again, Philip.
For sure.
Really appreciate you being here. Any last words you have for our viewers?
Just check them out and book with them as soon as possible.
Let's plug your Instagram.
Oh yeah, it's PRD1105.
We'll drop that in the description
For sure. And for those of you wondering, if you've looked at some of my stuff, Philip is in quite a bit of it. So he's kind of like my guinea pig that I use for certain things. And he's also kind of a part of my business as well. So he helps me out with certain photo shoots and a little bit with social media as well. So big thanks to you, Philip.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for tuning in to our podcast. Philip is really cool. Make sure you check him out on Instagram and any other thing that we drop in the description. Are you on any other social media platforms?
Not really. No.
Not really, just kind of Instagram.
Yep.
Well, anyways, follow him on Instagram and subscribe to the YouTube channel. This podcast comes out every week, Sunday at 3 p.m. on both my channel and Gabe's channel. So make sure you tune in for that. Eventually, if we get like 10,000 subscribers, we'll make our own podcast channel.
Nice. Let's go for 100K first.
So if you are interested in upping your photography, videography, and audio production game, make sure you subscribe to the Media Masters podcast and our channels to watch all of our 100% free master classes and megabytes and gigabytes. Those are our weekly videos that just teach you camera basics and working with clients, everything that you need to know to get started producing awesome media content. Every single week on the Media Masters show, we have a new guest talking about their area of media and how to succeed in it and how they've kind of conquered that little niche. So make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week for the Media Masters show.